My phone.
I don't know if she turned it in, but I know she.
She never got changed by the corner.
Okay.
Yeah, 'cause
I know it
I know the amount of issues with happening and it's a lot of stuff going on. Like,
You guys hang out outside of work. Oh, okay.
Occasionally. It's sometimes it's like you see each other so much at work, you don't, you know. But occasionally we'll go at lunch and stuff like that. You know, good little group.
So
It's
technically,
nice.
what is this position?
It's changed in this month, but
Oh, sure.
I like it.
We have a Zoom membership.
Oh, you do? Okay, wow.
Yeah. Oh, they're in now.
Yeah, well, it's just a matter of like finding out who's who, right? Because
Yeah.
that's the big thing, is the change is like who's the actual person. So,
Right.
college and raise, staff is still being built out, so. yeah,
Okay.
Lisa Montero Morris, the district director.
Oh, so who's our, we don't know who it's built.
I don't know if they've hired the reps just yet.
This is great.
Lisa is great.
So easy. We deal with her a lot.
Who was she with before? Have she always been with that?
Yeah.
Oh,
I think she just takes breaks.
oh,
You know,
Gotcha.
she works with them and then she's been the FJC director for a few years. I just don't know if Carol should be at it, and then I think she's about Carol. I was down so.
cool. All right, hi Craig, I see you on there. All right, well, I'm gonna go ahead and call it to order, so people trickle in. Welcome, everyone. John Valines is feeling under the weather, so I'm stepping in. Kirsty Boyette made it past chair of the Chamber of Commerce, and I am the vice chair of special events and resource development for the chamber. So welcome, everyone. We will go around the room and start with Jeremiah. Introduce yourself.
all right, Jeremiah Williams, National City Council, and good to be here.
Well, my name is Alfredo Miranda with Congresswoman Clinton's office. And happy to be here as well.
I'm Jeff Legero, the elected district attorney, and we'll be talking to you here shortly about organized retail theft to the DA's office. Thanks for having us.
Cameron Cromwell. I'm the criminal investigator assigned to organized retail crime from the Stanislaus County DA's office.
I'm Patrick Shields. I'm the field rep and assistant to Supervisor Manny Greatwald, District 4, the Stanislaus County Board of Supervisors.
I am Stephen Shaw, I'm the business support coordinator here for the Modesto Chamber of Commerce.
And Peggy O'Donnell, I'm a chamber board member.
All right, now we'll go around the room. You guys got to mute yourself. Craig's unmuted. All right, Craig, go ahead.
Craig Lewis, Lewis Kaplan Advisors. Well, I'm glad to be here.
Thanks, Craig. Dana, go ahead.
Hello, Dana Ferreira, Regulatory Analyst for Modesto Irrigation District.
Thank you. Jen Gomes.
Hi, good morning. Jennifer Gomes, Board of Director for the Modesto Chamber, and I'm a relationship manager at Citizens Business Bank.
Thank you, Jennifer. Donna. You're muted.
Good morning, Donna Linder, Stanislaus County Clerk Quarter Registrar of Voters, and I'm glad I have the opportunity to attend this meeting.
Thank you for being here. And Fireflies, in case you're wondering, is a note taker. I'm not going to introduce that. All right, we will go ahead and ask for approval for the consent agenda and the minutes from the December 4th meeting.
All approved.
Okay, thank you.
Second. Dana, second.
Thank you, Dana. All right. Any other major announcements anyone else to make? We get started? All right. I'd like to introduce these two gentlemen, and they're going to talk about the retail theft that's going on and how it's changed since our election, I'm sure, right?
Oh, yeah.
Right. Thank you.
Things are headed in the right direction.
Good.
So. All right.
So are they looking, where's the camera? The people online. Can you guys see Jeff?
Yeah, we see it.
Okay, fair. Who's that?
Lose control, lose control.
Oh, probably because I clicked off of it.
Here we go.
You let it know.
All right. All right. Thank you for the invitation to be here. It's always good to get out and meet with the business people and the businesses in the community. It's kind of important to us. I've been the elected district attorney. I was elected at the primary election in June of 22, actually sworn into office in January of 23. So I'm going into my third year as the elected DA. And when I took over, one of the biggest issues seemed to be organized retail theft. It was on the news, it was everywhere. And I had, at one point, I even had a conversation with the lieutenant governor who said, when did it become okay to steal any amount, let alone $950, right? So, and that kind of emphasized the fact that, yeah, we had gotten away from punishing and deterring people for stealing from us, right? But I also looked at the problem as a consumer problem, right? Not just a business problem, and not the impact that it was having on our big box stores or big retailers, but also the mom and pop stores. But I looked at it as a consumer problem. When you go to the store and everything's locked up, or the few items that they may have are locked up because you can't get to them, there's no product to buy, you're paying a top dollar for just the essentials that you might need, or you have businesses that are closing because it's unsafe for their patrons, for their employees to stay open because they're just being, run over by thieves. So I, being in law enforcement, being in the DA's office, I felt like that was wrong, right? There has to be consequences for your actions. So one of the things that we really started to look at is how can we partner with the local businesses, with the business community, and figure out what do they need from us. And one of the things that we did was we convened a group of loss prevention offices and some of the businesses and got them together at the Modesto Police Department, and we had a conversation with them. And I've been a police officer before, and I used to respond to the mall, and we would talk to loss prevention officers. They're a wealth of information. They know who's ripping them off. They know who the players are. They know what stores they're going into. So it was an untapped resource really for us to identify individuals that were really prolific thieves and that were really impacting businesses. So we started to build that relationship. I think we've had a lot of success with that because now we have regular organized retail theft meetings with business owners and loss prevention officers, big and small size businesses that are attending these meetings so that we can actually have that conversation with them to find out what their needs are we having an impact, and what can we do better. So we've opened that door with open lines of communication, and we've had some really good success with that. The other thing that we did is we also received a grant, an organized retail theft grant. And that grant allowed us to focus a prosecutor and a DA investigator and hire a crime analyst to come on board and really help us target the issue of organized retail theft and have a prosecutor with the expertise and have an investigator with the expertise, have an investigator that can kind of coordinate with other agencies to make sure that we're getting the best product from them so that we have successful prosecutions. So Cameron is our DA investigator, and he has been a fantastic addition to the organized retail theft team. And it's gone beyond that. This county has the Stanislaus Regional Auto Theft Task Force. They call it STANCAT. It's a highway patrol operated task force. The governor got into the organized retail theft business, and he has tasked the various regional auto theft task force and highway patrol with taking a point position on organized retail theft. We have the benefit of having one of those task force here in Stanislaus County. In fact, one of the members, the highway patrol member of STANCAT, his wife is a prosecutor in our office. So we have a very good relationship with that task force. They have put a lot of resources into organized retail theft as well. And then Cameron liaisons with them. They come to our office and host and coordinate with us to put on these presentations for businesses and make sure that we're getting the right information from them. So that's a little bit of background. I'm going to start working through the PowerPoint here, make sure we cover everything. Cameron, you want to add anything to the?
Yeah, just like Jeff said, when I came into this position a year and a half ago, I really wanted to see what was going on in the organized theft world, because it had been a little while since I left my previous employer and I was in a detective position. And so the big thing was just getting out there and talking to the retailers and hearing what their needs were and what their perception was, because there was a big perception that everything had been decriminalized. So why are we going to put forth the effort if nothing's going to happen? And so it was really about changing that perception and letting them know, hey, in Stanislaus County, we do take this serious. We are going to go after these people because it's not fair to the citizens, to the retailers, to just be victimized continually. So it was a great thing that we got going, and you'll see here, we've made a really good program. And so it's been really exciting to be part of it.
And criminal justice requires 3 legs to the stool. You have to have rehabilitation when rehabilitation is warranted. You have to have consequences, the punishment component of it when that's necessary. And you also have to have a deterrent component to it. And so if you focus only on one of those legs, it's an ineffective system. And where we found ourselves with these low-level crimes like petty theft and simple possession of drugs, they tend to go hand in hand. The focus became totally rehabilitation, all about rehabilitation. No consequences, punishment wasn't there. There was no leverage. There was nothing to encourage individuals to deal with their addictions, to deal with the issues that they were having. So now you've got a system that's built on rehabilitation that has no deterrent effect. And some of the stats kind of bore out exactly what was happening here. Now, in 2022, retailers in Stanislaus County experienced over $5.6 million in shortage. 8 national retailers provided shrinkage reports for Modesto locations for 2023, totaling $8.3 million. And that, when we talk about it being a consumer problem, a local problem, we're talking about $650,000 in lost sales and the tax revenue that would have generated. And then one big box location alone reported $3.5 million lost in 2023, up from $1.4 million in 2022. Those are outrageous numbers, you know. One big box location here. Yeah. Yes, sir.
I just wanted to point out that most of the sales tax goes to the state.
Yeah.
So,
We do get a cut, right?
Yeah.
We get a piece of it. But if it's stolen, we don't even get our little cut, right?
Right.
You know, which is unfortunate because, it's an entire cycle, right? One product's not available, so the consumer it's not there for the consumer to purchase it. And then whatever tax revenue there isn't generated. It's one thing if you're a big box store, you tend to be able to absorb some of the hits a little bit better. But if you're a smaller mom and pop store, those types of losses shut you down. And that became one of our biggest focuses. We're looking at the community. We're looking at the community needs. And if they have no place they can go shopping because there's no product to buy, or the stores are closed. And a lot of stores, the bigger box stores, were closing in underserved areas to begin with. So now you're having a disparate impact on areas where they need those services. They just don't have them. So a multifaceted problem. It impacted a lot of different areas. So it seemed like it was an area ripe for our intervention.
Jeff, if I might add something, also it impacts our district attorney's office. It impacts our law enforcement. It impacts caseloads. And with the caseloads being impacted, even though there's a department for that alleviates opportunities to actually get other cases that need to be taken care of that are much more crime oriented than this petty crime. So it affects us more than just the box stores or the mom and pop stores. It affects the entire scope of the whole process, which is unfortunate. So it's more than, those numbers are just a fraction of what it really costs us, the community, any community, when it comes to theft, because there's all these other components that fall in line with that.
It's a great point because there's limited resources in law enforcement, right? But it's also a quality of life issue. So if it's a quality of life issue, we can't ignore it.
Right.
You know, so we have to expend the resources to deal with it, you know, but if it's unchecked, you know, then we get what we got, you know? So now we have some tools. I mean, we use the tools that were available to us. They were just not very effective, right? Because you can, if I could go into JCPenney's and steal $949 worth of product, leave and go back in and steal another $949, and I'm only able to charge that person with a misdemeanor, there is no deterrent effect. There is no punishment. You know, it's just, it's a free for all.
The mistake was the messaging.
Yes.
And you stated that from the beginning. It was saying, you can steal, just don't steal any more than $950.
Right.
So
Yeah.
it's saying, hey, criminals, you guys want to get out there and steal? Just don't steal any more than that.
Yeah.
And that messaging should have never been that way. It should have been, we will prosecute you. However, a misdemeanor is to this point, but we will prosecute you for stealing a Snicker,
Exactly.
you know,
And
well, not a Snicker, but
well,
you understand what I'm saying.
and to your point, you know, when we're talking about the resources in law enforcement,
Mhm.
the jail only has so much space.
Right.
So it's not like you can, you know, take somebody who is a prolific thief
Right.
and put them in jail on a bunch of misdemeanors
Right.
and leave them there, because there are
Real
obviously
criminals.
more serious violent criminals that have to be, you know, separated from society.
Yeah.
So now you really don't have any deterrence because, you know, they go in, they steal, they get arrested, they get booked, they get released, steal. I can't aggregate things. I can't add the total. Now I can, thanks to Prop 36. So, you know, there was just, the tools were too weak to have any effect. And it ultimately, I think what it did was prime the pump and put us in a position for Prop 36 to pass. And Prop 36 was overwhelmingly passed. I think this county was 71% in favor, but it passed in every single county in this state. Every county approved it. So that speaks volumes to how people were feeling, right? About what was happening in their communities, what were happening to their businesses. And people just said, well, enough, you know, we're done. Let's do something about it. I will tell you that this county board of supervisors is all about Prop 36, and they expect me to use the tools available to make sure that we are protecting the community, you know, and in all the variety of ways that we have to do that. So, and that's what we are doing, and that's what we started it before Prop 36 because we saw that there were some tools available, and we went out and got those, the organized retail theft grant. Let's start focusing on this particular organized retail theft crime that was occurring. Let's make sure that our law enforcement partners know how to interview suspects to find out, are they stealing to resell? Because that the organized retail theft statute has this component in it. It's not just the stealing, it's you're stealing to resell it. And so if you don't ask the question, you don't know. And a lot of times it's hard to know. But I think there's other investigative techniques about finding online, you know.
Yeah, you have, online retailers are a huge secondary market because a lot of the things that you see up here, especially some of the products, over-the-counter products, clothing, tools, is that there's a secondary market for it. And so you'll look at Facebook Marketplace, Offer, you know, there's a huge need for these things, and these people know exactly what they want and the market, and so they will go out and put it on there. And so what I often do is I will go into some of these organized retail theft preliminary hearings or trials, and I'll tell them, okay, the part of it that the reason they're stealing is to resell it, whether it's a female stealing men's clothing or a male stealing, you know, 30 packets of pharmaceutical over-the-counter products. It's like, the average person doesn't need 30 packets of it. It's just going in there and explaining to everybody, that angle. And it's really been, the judges are really receptive to it. So it's definitely paid off.
And there's an educational component with meetings like this are important too, because there's things that we look to from our businesses, see something, report it, and get the information to law enforcement. And then we can do some follow-up, and a lot of times we can identify who the people are that are wreaking havoc in our community. And that's where you can target those limited resources that law enforcement has. We can at least target them in the right areas, on the right people, what they're doing to our community. Then again, consumer impact on the consumer, impact on the businesses, the increased cost of items, what items there were on the shelves, the prices went up. There's a lot of variables that come into that, but it certainly played a role in increased costs. Some more impacts, more than just the revenue losses. 2021, LA Rite Aid employee was killed while attempting to stop a shoplifter. Now, that was another factor that came into play. When I was a police officer early in my career, we would go to Long's, or we would go to Mervin's. They had loss prevention officers that would chase people. They would not allow them to steal from the store. Well, that worked as a deterrent, but was it safe? And then you had much more aggressive thieves that were willing to fight their way out of an arrest. And so we would get cases that were basically treated like an armed robbery or a robbery, because what would have been just a simple petty theft turned into a fight to retain that property. And then the person that stole it fights the loss prevention officer and gets away and takes the property. That's a robbery. So now we would charge those cases when we could. Juries, sometimes they would say it's a robbery, sometimes they would say, just cost of doing business. Maybe the loss prevention officer was a little too aggressive, or a lot of ways that it could have, played out. So, but most businesses got away from that. They can still have loss prevention officers. They just didn't want them going hands-on with anybody trying to retain the property, because it's a property right. I think there were some lawsuits and some other things.
Yeah. There is they take on a lot of liability going after these people. I know there are certain retailers that pretty much they'll go out there and ask them, hey, we know that you stole, will you please come back in the store with us? And 9 times out of 10, it's yeah, thanks, no, but no thanks. But sometimes we do get lucky and they go back in and they're able to identify these people. And we'll get into it a little later, but the Modesto Police Department did a great job, and they run a great program regarding, I'm sure you heard it, the blitz operations, or when we target certain areas where there's several businesses. So, but we'll get into that.
Yeah, so not just is it dangerous for the employees that are trying to stop the theft, but it's also the patrons, the shoppers. What are they? Are they in the middle of a fight? Is there something? You have a thief that decides he wants to shoot his way out of being arrested, and then you have all sorts of violence that comes along with that. Definitely different charges for us to pursue, and we don't have any problem, pursuing the maximum charges on those types of situations stuff. But it's still the risk to society and the danger to the employees and people that are at the store is just too much. So you have Best Buy and you have Target CEO talking about the impact that this rampant theft has had both on their staff and their bottom lines. Play this video, right? So this is security footage, the Village Fair, Vintage Fair mall. That's our mall. This one was 2018, I think it was. So get it here. Okay, mom or child, play area, pandemonium.
Where was the robber?
So they were on I believe it was a lower level jewelry store, but it was as they were going along, smashing all the glass cases, of course, in the mall of echoes, and it sounds similar to gunshots. And so everybody just sheer panic, which is understandable. And so that was a huge event for our mall.
That was 2018.
1819, yeah.
Devon.
I think it was,
Well, upstairs.
yeah,
Devon.
Devon.
Yeah. So they went in, they smashed the display cases, stole a bunch of stuff and ran. And, you know, you think about the impact that has on the people that had to witness that were at the mall at the time that happened. Whether they're a child or a parent with their kid or just, you know, somebody at the mall shopping, you know, what's the impact on them, the trauma that they suffer from that, not knowing what's happening and just having a stampede of people, you know. So we're lucky we didn't have, you know, an extensive amount of injuries that came out of something like that. But when you're emboldening thieves to do things, you know, what's the deterrent? There is no deterrent. What's going to stop them? So, and again, we talked a little bit about how it's just an inconvenience for the consumer too. You know, things are locked up, you know, press the button, get somebody to come and help you, if there's staffing anymore, because that's another issue, you know. And so there's just a lot of things that come into play that have changed the entire shopping experience, regardless of where you go. Business can't sustain the losses forever, right? Target closed 9 stores across 4 states. Walgreens plans to close 150 locations. You know, those are direct impacts on the consumer, direct impacts on neighborhoods, on communities. You know, it's if you can just go a couple minutes to your neighborhood store versus I've got to really plan a trip and go across town. It goes from a 5-minute trip to the neighbor Target, you know, to a 35, 40-minute to go to the Target across town. And now it's a fewer places to buy product, more product being bought from one store. It just has a snowball effect on what's available to the people out there.
And going back to your tax applications, and they could just click away and get on Amazon
Yes.
and not have to drive 35 minutes, and that hurts all of us. And
that's, you know, and you kind of see why people gravitate to that. The convenience is one thing, but if I go to Rite Aid right now, there's nothing on the shelves.
I talked about that.
Yeah. You know, and it's a supply chain thing. There was a bankruptcy thing, you know, so there were a lot of things that come into play. But what does the consumer see when they go in there? Oh, they must be closing, you know. So now I'm going to go to Walgreens. Oh, they're closing. Okay, what about CVS? Oh, I'll go to CVS. Well, you know, everything's locked up there, you know, and it takes me 30 minutes to go in there and get a pack of razors or, you know, some Advil or something. So
Also, Jeff, beyond just that alone, the losses as far as product, the employment,
yes.
employees, they don't want to work there anymore.
Yeah.
You know, they fear for their lives.
Absolutely.
Their husband, their spouses, whoever say, no, I don't want you to work. So, you know, when you have a company and you don't have the employees and you can't get anybody to work there,
Yeah.
of course, that also adds into the losses of that particular company.
Yeah.
And that's what makes it difficult. Then it also affects our economy because then these other individuals are looking for other jobs. And like you said, they can't go to Walgreens, they can't go to Rite Aid, they can't. And so where do they go? Then with the also, you know, this year, the minimum wage went up. And so it's just a snowball effect.
Yeah, it is a very, very difficult business climate.
Yeah.
At any level, right? And that's just the reality of it. So I look at our office and what can we do to support our local businesses? What can we do to help you, one, stay in business and be available for the community and provide a higher quality of life standard, right? So that's where we come in. Okay, let's do something about this. We can't do a lot about supply chains and things like that, but we can certainly have an impact on, you know, shrinkage, you know, things flying out the door because somebody's in there stealing and they're getting away with it. And then you know them and they come back the next day and do the same thing to you. And it's just like a revolving door, you know, so that's where we come in.
It's truly a crime that affects everybody.
Yeah.
It affects it.
Everybody.
Yeah. All right. So, no meaningful justice, AB 109 back in 2012. Change imprisonment from prison to county jail for nonviolent felonies, and shortened the amount of actual time that they needed to serve. So a lot of the way it works is, so we used to have petty theft with a prior, Penal Code Section 666. So if you had 2 or more convictions for petty theft as misdemeanors, I could charge with a felony. Because you're not getting it, right? You're continuing to commit the same crime over and over again. So I get charged with a felony. Well, that was gotten rid of with Prop 47. So then I couldn't charge you with a felony. And then it's like, well, $950. Okay, let's use 950 as a threshold. All right, so 949. Misdemeanor, time and time again. So there were actual actions taken by the state that put us in this position. And AB 109 and Prop 47, these were enacted by or Prop 47 was enacted by the voters and supported by some district attorneys around the state. And people warned about, here's what's going to happen. And unfortunately, all those warnings came to fruition. And then that led to Prop 36, which finally gave us, some normalcy again, deal with some of these issues. All right. 2018 till 2021, crime of organized retail theft. I appeared in front of the Assembly Public Safety Committee with Assembly Member Alanis, and we were talking about organized retail theft. And the chair at that time of the Public Safety Committee was saying that nobody was using the organized retail theft statute. And I said, well, we are, because we were prosecuting, we probably had the third highest number of prosecutions for organized retail theft in the state. Because in 2023, we went to town on it, said, okay, we're going to do this.
What were those numbers, Jim?
We had 141, I think, the first.
Yeah, it was somewhere in there. Yeah.
So I think Riverside, San Diego, I think those were the other two, but there were a number of counties that was zero prosecutions under the organized retail theft statute, because it was not an easy statute to use to prosecute.
Then they get ranked like the perfect because they didn't have any arrests, right?
Yeah, well.
The safest place to live.
So I'm sitting there and the chair is like, well, I'm glad to hear that you're using it, because I believe that the prosecution offices around state are not using it because they want it to fail. So it's a little bit of a disconnect. So you've got Sacramento saying, we've given you the tools, you're just not using them, or you're not using them properly. And I'm like, wait, we're using them. They're difficult. They're not the greatest written law, but we can use them. And it's like, well, I'm glad to hear you're using it. But it was a weird exchange about how they felt about, that we as prosecutors would not do our duty and follow the law and enforce the law, that was on the books, just to make a point with Sacramento. So it was just an odd exchange. So that just kind of gives you a little insight into the thinking, that we're dealing with. But I don't get into the politics of it. I try to avoid that, because I don't write the laws. The legislature does their job, the voters enact things, and I got to figure out how to use those tools to best serve my community, best serve the desires and meet the expectations of the people in this community. And that's what we were trying to do. And that's what we heard. Organized retail theft. That is a problem. That is a thing. So let's go and do something about it with the tools that we have available. And those tools have changed over time. Organized retail theft, it is a separate statute on the books that we can prosecute under, and we do. And it's, I think it's been effective in this county because we've had, an effort on our part of the DA's office, but a great partnership, not just with law enforcement, but with the community businesses. If the businesses weren't interested in this, then maybe we don't spend the resources on it. If it wasn't quite an impact on the businesses, then maybe we would have to rethink some things in how we do business. But I think that the overwhelming response was, yes, we need help. And so what can we do to help? So we got this organized retail theft grant. It's a vertical prosecution grant that it does pay for a full-time DDA, a full-time DA investigator in Cameron. And then we have a part-time crime analyst that helps us put together PowerPoints and look at where the trends are and try and figure out how can we get messaging out. She did a lot of work on our organized retail theft notices. We basically put a little campaign together about, if you don't pay the register, pay the consequences, So we have some some decals that we have. I know Save Mart has gotten a bunch of them. We just updated it. I was at a conference up in Sacramento and they used one that's a little more in your face. It's yellow and like a warning sign. And it's much more attention grabbing.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it was good. I went out and spoke to a lot of the businesses and said, hey, this is what we have. If this is something that you're interested in, if your corporate is good with putting this in front of the store, we would love to get it to you. That way it's one more thing, one more deterrent as thieves are going in. And Save Mart, Food Max, Ulta in Stanislaus County. And then we have a huge billboard on 99 and Pellendale, just so that way as people are coming into town, if they're coming north, southbound, pulling off on Sis there, is it really worth it? Am I going to be arrested if I go do this? It's one more thing. So.
And that's that deterrent component again. You know, you put people on notice that, hey, if we do it here, we're going to prosecute you. But we also are on the billboard. Riverbank has a billboard as you enter in from McHenry. And what is that, McHenry and Patterson? Yeah, it is. And you come in and it's displayed there. So again, it's using that grant to pay for some of the messaging and try and get the word out there. So
You guys see that video that Orange County released? They were arresting people and they were like, oh, you're supposed to let me go. And they're in the back of the cop cars and the sheriff's are like, no, you're in Orange County, wrong county.
Oh, nice.
That was the perception. When I would go out on these operations, it was all the time, especially when they were not from here, when it was Fresno, Sacramento, Alameda County. I'm going to jail. Yes, you're being held accountable. And they were just not used to that. And you'll see later on in here, they're shocked. And when they go to jail and they make their jail phone calls, they do not want to be here and they are shocked that this has happened to them and they do not think it's right. So it's a good thing.
we have our own videos.
Yes.
We have great body worn cameras, jail calls and stuff like that. So they know, I mean, they know. And I've had this conversation in front of other, surrounding county DAs. It's like, look, this isn't for me saying it's your problem, but it is your problem because if my reach is Stanislaus County, and if I can keep them out of this county and they stay in Alameda or they stay in San Francisco and they're your problem and stealing from your businesses, I still don't like that, but at least it's not happening here. And I'm doing what I can, to make sure that you guys have the support that you need. But again, here's some of the things that we have done, partnering, making sure that we have good investigations with our law enforcement agencies to make sure we can prosecute, billboard signs, anything to put people on notice that they're not to do it here. We've got the dedicated manpower to really be out there to bring awareness, make sure that the cases that we're getting are meeting the standard that we need to make them prosecutable. This is the warning label that we have. We have stickers, we have some billboards. So we didn't want to use the one that they use in San Joaquin County. I think Frank was involved in that campaign. It's something that we can talk to him about because this is all paid for through our grant. So other resources from the business community, from Frank's organization, that might be very helpful for us to expand the campaign and put more billboard signs, things like that out there and put people on notice that this is the wrong county. So, every agency in the county is on board. We have kind of the lead because we have an organized retail theft DA investigator. So he can coordinate with the agencies, see what they need, make sure that they're a part of it. The organized retail crime enforcement team, the Central Valley, that is the highway patrol based Stanislaus County auto theft task force. That's where the organized retail theft for the Central Valley task force is based out of. So if you have anything to add on that.
So I'll get into kind of blitz operations. So when I went out, I'm housed out at StanCat. I also have an office at DA's office. So when I went out there, I said, so what are we doing here to combat this? And so they already had a great program going. Modesto Police Department has a great program. And essentially they put together these blitz operations. So analytic based, they speak to the retailer saying, hey, we're having crimes that are being committed between these hours on these days. This would be the best time to come and conduct a blitz operation. So between marked units, unmarked units, we will go converge on whether it's McHenry, Sis, Countryside down in Turlock. It will all be in the area. We all have a retailer that we're in touch with. Somebody works in asset protection, and they will kind of find these either known thieves that come into the store or someone that they see concealing items. They'll immediately get on the phone with us, say, hey, this is what we have. Once we have a confirmed theft, we then wait for them to leave the store, and we'll pick a time based on, foot traffic in the parking lot. We're trying to make it as safe as we possibly can. So usually when they're right at their car, because then that way it gives us access to the car to find other property or additional victims of theft. Because a lot of times when they go to Home Depot, they've also been to Target, they've also been to Dick's Sporting Goods, and you will open the car and it will be Pandora's box of all this property. So once they get at the car, we will take them into custody, and again, we'll start our investigation. At that time, we'll take the property, we'll price it out, determine what our price value is, run a criminal history check to try and figure out, do they meet the 666.1 threshold of having the prior petty thefts. So once we figure that out, we then, go through with the investigation, and ultimately they get booked into jail. It's very rare that people are cited out. There's got to be some sort of circumstances, because it sends a message when you go to jail. If you get cited out at the jail, that's fine. But a lot of the agencies around here are on board with, if you're going to commit a crime here, if you're going to come to this county and you're going to do this, you're going to go to jail. But like I said, there are some extenuating instances where they do get cited, but for the most part, they get cited out. And these operations are important because, number one, it builds that relationship with the retailer. They know that we take it serious, that the law enforcement agency takes it serious, and we're able to identify the suspect at that time. And a lot of times these people have committed other thefts, but we just didn't know who they were. So at that point, then once they're identified, they can go back, and I can reach out to other retailers, say, hey, does this person look familiar to you at all? Oh yeah, I have them on a $1,000 theft case from 2 weeks ago. And we kind of build that stronger case. So it's very beneficial in that way. It's a visual deterrent. The other thieves go on to Sis Road and they see 10 cop cars out there and a bunch of undercover guys. They say, well, not today, and maybe I won't come back here because I don't want to be that person. So number three, the businesses will get their property back, which is great. We want them to continue to have the shrinkage that they're getting. But it also, like Jeremiah touched on, the employees feel safer, right? The employees know that we're out there, and the public feels safer. I can't tell you how many times I've been out there, we've arrested someone, and the public comes, especially during the holiday ops. Hey, thank you for being out here. I feel safer being able to shop here. They're there with their kids, and they're seeing all the hard work that's coming and being done here. So it's a good thing to be able to do that, and the business feels safer. They get more people in the stores, better for us, better for the county. And then, like I said, it sends a message that we're not going to tolerate it. Like Jeff said, we don't want it to happen, but we especially don't want it to happen here. So if they continue to go down to Fresno, Merced, up to San Joaquin, that essentially, if we can stop it here, that's what we want to do. So, and just some stats in 2024, like I said, Modesto Police Department conducted 52 of these ORC Blitz operations throughout different areas in the county. They worked really well with the Sheriff's Department. I know I was out on Riverbank on one a couple of weeks ago. They ended up doing the 52 operations. They got 277 arrests out of it and recovered $52,000 in merchandise. So great things going on, a lot of good teamwork. And that's really what it's all about to
Does that get
be successful.
blasted out for recognition, but also awareness for those guys and girls?
Yeah, Modesto Police Department does a great job with social media. They have a lot of good people that maintain their Facebook, Instagram, and they put all that out there. I know they had, I believe his name is Carlos from CBTV. He wrote out a couple times, put together some good videos, and they posted that. So they're definitely putting it out there. So it's good for the people to see.
That's perfect segue, because I was thinking about the same thing. Maybe we need to put it in the mag,
Okay.
in progress, and then reach out to Chris for the Modesto View. I mean, and do a good spread on it, you know, especially to our businesses,
Right.
so that they can feel like, okay, we are doing something, we are talking about it, we are making progress.
Mhm.
And, you know, that's something I really feel like we should do
Yeah.
sooner than later.
Right.
You know, and then I'll reach out to Chris about this very topic that, you know, the presentation was done, and then he'll probably get with someone, and then they can do a full page spread on it, so people can really understand you're going to jail if you steal. Don't worry, don't even think about the amount. You steal from a store, you're going to jail, you know?
Focus on the positive impact that this is where your tax dollars do go into that, like, not
Exactly.
pointing fingers, we're saying, look at, thank you,
Right.
and here's what's coming as a result.
And it's good because some people don't hear about these things. They don't have social media. And so for them to reach them, to see it, I've talked to several business owners and management of businesses, and they have no idea that any of this is going on. And so I try and go out there, spread the word. I invite them to our meetings. I'm like, hey, bring a representative, come yourself, bring someone here to see what's going on. That way the word gets out. And it's definitely grown through the last 18 months.
That's why these are so important to us, you know, just to be able to have a conversation, let you know what's going on, answer your questions, but also spread the word, you know, and if you do have, you know, magazines, flyers, social media, and we can share with you, and then that just exponentially gets the word out that much further. And so that's, you know, it's not, yay, look at us, it's what can we do to help, you know, and if you don't know that we're available, then we're missing out on being able to support in a greater way. So
Do you have facial recognition that could kind of go, he's a target, okay, watch out, Home Depot, this guy's on his way, or something like that?
Yeah, so that is always, there are certain retailers that do have it. It's kind of that gray area right now.
Violation of
for
privacy.
for us,
Yeah.
no. For private businesses with very sophisticated, you know, camera systems and
Yeah,
things
I
like
think
that.
the mall has something similar to that, because we did a walkthrough.
Yeah.
I think they have something. Were you with us, Patrick?
Yeah, that they would.
Yeah, and then
Yeah.
they have some easier identifiers of individuals.
Yeah.
And like someone's on a particular list. Yeah, so it does work, but even adding that to Progress Magazine and talking about these things, even talking about it will make people think I'm being watched, right? Even though it's not happening in every store.
I know there are retailers, there are police agencies that use it, but it's a tool, right? You still have to do old fashioned police work in the fact of checking everything, confirming, just because it's not perfect. It's not perfect, it's a tool.
And it kind of goes back to the information that we would get from loss prevention offices, right? They know, they've identified the person, or, you know, our Visalia store identified this person, and oh, now we see him up here in Modesto. Okay, what are we going to do about it? Well, Prop 36 gave us some new tools. We can aggregate things. We can take cases from other jurisdictions and we can prosecute them here and package them up, or we can take care of the prosecution here and then send them, you know, down south and let that county prosecute them for the crimes down there. Make sure that they're being held accountable for all of the damage that they're causing. So
So it can be would it be a split crime, or would it be, you know, only for that county?
So the county where the theft occurs, but if it's organized, there's multiple counties involved. So we can kind of get together and say, hey, you got a solid case, or the loss is greater in San Joaquin County than here. I can say, hey, Ron, Freitas, you know, San Joaquin DA, you take it. Or we can agree to you prosecute them first, I'll get them when you're done, and then we'll pass them to Fresno, or we'll pass them around. And it's just, you know, whatever it takes to get some of these people out of circulation, you know, because of the damage that they're doing. This is a kind of the new look that we're going for some of the warning labels, just to be a little more in your face. We're always trying to balance the big brother aspect of it, that we're not, you know, lording over everybody and watching their every move, but we also want them to get the message that, hey, we're paying attention. And if you're doing this, you better stop because you will get caught and you will get prosecuted. And that's a ripoff from Sacramento.
Well, first, I want to thank your team for participating in getting the grant.
Yeah.
As an economic developer, I'm only as good as the product I sell. And this year we were able to go to the International Convention of Shopping Centers. And I was able to tell all the retailers that, hey, we have this program. We're like the best in the state. Your assets are protected, Stanislaus. So it was a good talking point. A lot of people really appreciated that. So wanted to get that feedback back to you that we do use your efforts to communicate to the business communities that aren't here, that we're a business friendly community that supports their investments. But then also I want to offer, we meet with small businesses all the time. If there's a way for us to help pass this out or see if retailers want to do that, we'd be happy to get a stack and give them out like candy.
It's great feedback too, because, that's one of the things that we probably wouldn't know unless you shared that with us, that is a talking point for these associations and these meetings. So that's great feedback, because it helps us to know that, okay, we're in the right space. We're doing some things that are being, helpful to the group, to the businesses, to the community. So thanks for sharing that. And then Cameron, I know that he can coordinate getting these over to you.
He also did that to get more business to Modesto, so he's a great city employee.
That's
economic
what we'd like to hear.
Who's that sales tax?
But you have to create the environment, right? You have to create an environment that makes businesses want to be here.
Right.
Yeah, and we have to differentiate ourselves from San Francisco.
Yeah.
Because when you leave the state, everyone thinks California is San Francisco. So
It's true.
yeah,
It's true. Yeah. But we get the same thing from prosecution, standpoint. If I go out of state to a conference and stuff, oh, you're from California. So no, we really prosecute people.
we're the other California.
Yeah. But that other part, we're not along the coast. Top 3 counties in California, the highest number of organized retail theft convictions. We prosecuted 233% more defendants on organized retail theft charges than in the previous few years. 310% increase on ORC charges, 200% more police reports of ORC that we were able to successfully prosecute. And we sentenced 226% more defendants convicted of ORC to prison. So the numbers are definitely on the rise, and the grant has had a lot to do with our ability to do it, to have the right resources to be able to do it. Not that we weren't willing or couldn't before, but it just put us in a much stronger position to be more effective with it. Over the last year, one Turlock retailer claimed a 20% decrease in shrinkage. And when we talk to the retailers, it's about shrinkage, right? And for years, they couldn't hit their numbers, and now they're hitting their numbers, right? There's always going to be a certain amount, but when you get a decrease like that and they're able to hit the numbers, it makes the business that much more viable. Then we got a 35% over bank. So those are real numbers. That's a real impact that we're having on the business climate here.
There was, just real quick, there was one, I heard last week, Modesto business that saw 52% decrease. That's great. Yeah.
Those are real numbers. Those are real dollars, right? Prop 36, we're very happy that it passed. I supported it. Not every, but almost every DA in the state supported it. There were business retailers who were really behind it, trying to make sure that we had the tools that we needed. It changed some things, and Cameron had mentioned this Penal Code 666.1. When back in the day, before Prop 47, we had Penal Code Section 666, which was petty theft with priors. If you had 2 or more, you can get charged with felony. We got it back. We got it back in the 666.1. So now you have a repeat offender and they just keep doing the same thing over and over again. I can actually charge them with a felony. I can actually send them to prison if I need to.
Why would anyone not support it? What would that person?
So it's kind of back to my conversation with Public Safety Committee, right, in the Assembly. They, their vision of things is not necessarily reality. They see it as, we have a goal, we want to reduce the prison population. So, okay, and that was a legitimate concern because the Supreme Court said you need to reduce the prison population. But it's one thing to reduce the prison population. It's another when you take it and put it on steroids. And now everything, is now divertible and a misdemeanor. And so you just went so far the other way on rehabilitation that now nobody is paying attention. Oh, wait, that's still a crime? I didn't realize it was a crime. I thought I could steal and get away with it, or I thought I could use drugs and it would be okay. And there are no consequences. So there were a lot of things that just really just slammed the pendulum way too far. And now Prop 36 was a way to get it back. But there's still people that are opposed to it because they feel like, oh, we're just going to fill the prison back up. Well, the idea behind Prop 36 is treatment. And they call them treatment mandated felonies. So we used to have simple possession of methamphetamine could be charged as a felony or a misdemeanor. If we charged as a misdemeanor, we charged it as a misdemeanor because it was a first offense. We wanted to encourage somebody to get treatment. They had opportunity. And some took advantage of that and then one and done, right? We never saw them again. And you had other people that deserved the felony charge because they weren't getting it. So let's charge them with the felony. But if they do the treatment, it gets dismissed at the end. So there's incentive for them to get treatment and deal with the underlying cause of the criminality. Then when everything became a misdemeanor, nobody cared. Nobody said, well, they weren't ready to get off the drugs, or 2 days, a couple days in jail was nothing, because they'd be right back out doing the same thing. So you have to have all these pieces working together or it's a completely ineffective system like anything else. So what Prop 36 did is kind of gave us those tools back again and allowed us to start charging felonies again to incentivize treatment. That's really the bottom line, is incentivize the treatment. We don't want to send people to prison. We don't want to stick them in our jail for, for extended periods of time, but we want to be addressing the underlying problem. And now this gives us some leverage. So the petty theft with priors is back, so we can charge felonies regardless of how much they stole. If they've petty theft, we can go after felonies. Same thing with simple possession of drugs. We can charge a felony if they've got a couple priors. So we're back into a little more rational system now. But then it's what do we do with it? We can abuse the system, and usually, we take it to the extremes, and then that's when Sacramento gets involved and they take things away from us. So we have to be very balanced on how we approach this and make sure that we're carrying out that spirit of the law. And that's really how we were looking at Prop 36.
Does someone online have a question?
Yes, I do. Craig Lewis, how come not every business in this town doesn't have the sticker in front of their, in the front window? What are you doing to publicize what you're doing with the businesses?
So as far as publicizing it, we do have monthly meetings between the Modesto Police Department, California Highway Patrol, Riverbank Police Department, and the local retailers. So we are offering it to the local retailers. And some of the holdup is, of course, they're run by corporate companies. So they have a legal department that will review what we bring. We offer it, we bring them to the meetings. They will take some, usually take it to their corporate, and the corporate will say yes or no, you can put that in the window or you cannot.
Some are more difficult than others to have that process done, but like the local businesses, we can work with the chamber. We've talked with the Hispanic chamber. So any type of opportunity that we can talk to businesses and get the word out, we will supply the stickers. We will supply the warning labels, so to speak. But it's just a matter of whatever assistance we can get from this body, from this organization, or other organizations that you're connected with. We're more than willing to meet with them and try and distribute as much as we can.
Yeah, we want to get the word out.
It's not the easiest thing because a lot of times we're not sure exactly what organization to contact or to reach. So it is meetings like this where we learn along the way and figure out exactly what it is that is available out there, what organizations are out there. So So we are correcting misconceptions. Great advertisement.
Wow.
Yeah, all good stuff. So here's some citations if you ever want some light reading on organized retail theft. That would provide that list to you.
You quoted in all of them.
Yeah, but that's our presentation. So if you guys have any specific questions or anything like that, we're happy to answer them. And like our little exchange there, we do have the stickers, the labels that we can provide and stuff. So if there's anybody that wants those, we'll get your information today and we'll get them to you. If you have ideas about where we might go to have other conversations like this, we're more than happy.
I will leave my card here and then that way, if there is some place to go or you know somebody who's in need of stickers, please have them reach out to me. And if I don't have, like the warning one, I think we're gonna get those printed out. But if I don't have it, I will get you some stickers.
Somewhere that, you're a little bit more lenient when someone's stealing children's clothes.
Well, you can't be, so the thing that we have to be careful about is being too heavy-handed, right? So if we have somebody stealing food or hygiene things for personal needs and stuff, that's not gonna become organized retail theft. We might still be able to prosecute them for a felony if they've got priors and they're, under the Prop 36, we have that ability. But we have to be careful. And what are we trying to do with that individual? Do we want to punish them? Do we want to rehabilitate them? Is it a drug problem they're dealing with? So we can always divert them. And if they fail, the traditional criminal justice system remains. So we don't have a problem giving them an opportunity to fix whatever the issue is. But if they don't, we'll take it back.
But also, you mentioned too, Jeff, earlier, it's not if they stole one package of diapers.
Yeah.
But if they stole 20 packages of diapers, you know what I'm saying? They don't have that many trips.
And honestly, that is a big resale item too. Baby
Right.
formula used to be, the big thing. So, yeah, that's.
It's not cheap, trust me, I know.
Throw some diapers in there, so.
There's a good secondary market on diapers.
But that's, but it's really kind of fact driven, right? If it's an individual that is unhoused and they're in stealing some food from the grocery store, okay, what are we dealing with here? But we have access to what their history is, and, you know, a lot of them, we do see, the repeat offenders. But, you know, we know who they are. We know if they have a mental health issue. And again, that's another difficulty, right? Because if you're charged with a misdemeanor, but you have a mental health problem, so you don't really know the wrongfulness of the act, you don't really understand what you're doing or the process that you're in, then there's resources to deal with the mental health problem. But it's not, the criminal justice system just isn't designed, you know, to deal with that, you know, as it
So
should.
Jeff, we talked about it earlier, there's the spirit of the law and then the letter of the law.
Yeah.
There's times you have to
Yeah.
put the letter of the law, and then when it's the spirit of the law, you can make that decision then.
Yeah.
And it looks like Craig, are you writing us a check? You just licked your envelope. Are you sending that to the district attorney or the city of Modesto?
You're muted.
Muted.
You're muted. You gotta unmute. There you go.
I send checks to the city of Modesto every month.
Thank you.
I think we all do.
Maya.
Thank you. You know, the other thing too, Jeff, is if you all can give those stickers to the chamber and then the Hispanic chamber. So, because we do ribbon cuttings all the time,
Yeah.
and we can hand those out at every ribbon cutting. Right.
Yeah.
You know,
I love that idea. Actually.
Yeah.
Actually.
so
That's
if you
really good.
Yeah.
get that.
Welcome package.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, and I personally do a lot of the, you know, ribbon cuttings along with them. So, I mean, you get those to us, we'll get them to, and they would really be appreciative. I know you can't send anybody out there to each ribbon cutting. Now, if there was one today, but it was for Vallarta restaurant, I mean, the new store, supermarket. Their building, their store is 45,000 square foot.
Wow.
That's a square, you know,
Yeah.
Yeah.
They need
that's
stickers.
huge.
Yeah.
They need
Right?
two stickers.
Yeah, exactly.
And
They might need a pan.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
When you have a banner, you have a yeah. Yeah, one of the businesses in the mall put a banner up. They were very excited to get this thing in, like.
I will work on that. I will get some, I'll figure out how many we can get together and I'll bring
Yeah,
binders.
that'd be great.
You guys have.
Yeah, and then we'll get you the number. You have Johnny's number, right?
Yeah.
Get to them.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I had a question too. So, I'm new to the Modesto Chamber, but I did come from the Stockton Chamber.
Oh.
So I work closely with Frank
Yeah.
with the START program.
Yeah.
I know you had mentioned the retail theft meetings that you guys have, for the businesses to join.
Yeah.
Can I get some information on that later?
Yep,
Like,
I will.
that way we can give that to our businesses too, like as a resource in case they want to join, maybe they don't know about it.
Yeah, what I do a lot is, I'll get your contact information. I'll add you to an email list of all the local retailers that go. And then that way you get sent a reminder, or if there's other people that want to be put on this list, a reminder of where, when, times and location.
Okay, so you guys do them in person?
Yeah, they're in-person meetings, yeah.
Okay.
I think, you know, if it became an issue where people wanted to attend via Teams or Zoom, certainly have that capability too.
Okay.
The more the merrier, really. But, yeah, Suki Sandu, he's joined us now,
Good.
you know, as a business owner, right? So he's very involved, was very involved with Prop 36, so great resource for us, you know. There's just the more that we can spread the word, the more that you know that we're here to support, and if you guys need something from us, we can be there, then the better for all of us.
And they're great information sharing. I mean, because like we talked about, a lot of people that affect one business affect others. And so the retailers will get in there, the information sharing, okay, I identified them in this one. Oh, I need their information for mine. And it just kind of goes from there. And it's a great thing.
Which is really good for us, because say it's somebody stealing baby clothes, and we get one case where they stole, you know, a couple $100s with baby clothes, but then we go to a meeting and boom, here, you know, we're prosecuting this person. They're like, oh, we know so-and-so, they steal from us once a week, you know, so. Or they're coming from other counties, you know, and some of the bigger stores that have stores in other counties. They share information amongst themselves. So when they're at one of our meetings, they'll say, oh, yeah, okay, this is who we're looking at in our jurisdiction, but
Yes.
also when you catch them or when we, arrest them and prosecute them, just know that they've got cases in other counties.
Yeah.
Too. So
I'll routinely go to San Joaquin County, Sacramento County, to just go to their meetings because then you get Placer County that joins El Dorado County, and just that information sharing is huge.
What's your guys' relationship like with the other district attorney's offices? How you guys are prosecuting this? I mean, obviously it's an issue up and down state.
Yeah.
Districts pass statewide with high margins. Has that created an atmosphere amongst the district attorneys that it's kind of created a bond being able to work together? Or do you still feel that there are some counties that are very solely based on what they're going to do and they're not going to prosecute to a certain extent? And how does that affect you guys when you're trying to build cases?
Yeah, from DA to DA, we have good relationships. They some are more political. I don't care where the person's prosecuted, just get the best bang for our buck, right? If the feds want to take the case, we have a good relationship with our federal partners. If they want to take it and that's where it's most appropriate to be prosecuted, go for it. We're all supportive of that. Same thing with our, local DA offices. We've hired a bunch of people from Merced, so I still have a good relationship with Nicole and we still get along and stuff, but we did hire a bunch of people out of her office. But we still can work together because it's resources, right? Where is the best, venue for this prosecution? Where should this take place? Where's the strongest case? I swore in a San Joaquin County deputy DA for a case that we did. It's an embezzlement case, but it's that kind of relationship. Like, okay, you got a piece of it up there. I've got a piece of it here. Ours makes yours better. Yours makes our better. So let's go. We're going to go to grand jury. Went to grand jury in our county. I swore in the San Joaquin prosecutor to come down here and present it to our grand jury and get the indictment. Off we go. And that case was, it was going to be like everyone looked at it and was like, it's just a simple little embezzlement. But when you combine the two, it's millions of dollars. So now she's looking at like 11 years or something like that. So it's that kind of coordination that, I can pick the phone up, I can text Ron, I can text Morgan Geiger up at Placer, Tien Ho at Sacramento, Nicole. I mean, we all meet pretty regularly for round tables.
Good.
We're all dealing with the same problems, so it's just, let's be smart about it. Because I could be insulated and say, this is my ball and I'm taking it and I'm going home, right? But by having that kind of connection with Cameron going to other jurisdictions and meeting with them and engaging with them, look at what my resource availability now is, right? It's gone from my county to multiple counties and being able to use those resources and prosecutors to really do justice.
Quickly, it's kind of off our county, but to me, I thought that the demise of San Francisco was kind of post-COVID, but I guess it's a lot more than that. So it's the way the law was interpreted at the time. And now will that change? Will Union Square come back to life? Or is that just kind of gone too far?
I think it's a delicate situation. I think that they're trying their best, and I think with the new DA that's there, I think there'll be some change. But my wife works for a retailer there, and they have a store in Union Square, and it got to the point where the safety was such a concern for her employees. She said, "We're done here." And so she's worked with the big box store there, and they're like, "We put all these safety measurements in place so your employees can come back and feel safe." And I think a lot of businesses got to that point where they're like, our employees are getting robbed, assaulted, whatever else, and we can't protect them. So. Yeah.
And Brooke Jenkins is the DA over there, and she's actually doing a good job. She replaced a DA that wasn't interested and never would be prosecuting these types of cases, And even in that very liberal community, enough's enough. There's just some standard basic behaviors that we want to see in people, you know, and hold people accountable if they're not meeting that standard. So but she does have to navigate the community consensus, community expectations for her in her office. So I have it easier because we do have a little bit more law and order community here. You know, I certainly wouldn't say that we want to drop the hammer on everybody and everybody goes to prison, which is good because I don't think that's the right approach. But having lived in this area and grown up in the Central Valley and understanding, you know, kind of what the incentives or what sells here and what's important to people here, at least I feel like I'm on the same page with the average person in the community. Yes, no. But yeah, the impact to tourism, the losses, the revenue losses, the businesses that have left. San Francisco is a good bellwether to see how some of this, you know, kind of resets things and gets us out of it.
I think San Francisco will rebound because of the fact it's, you know, for the locals, it's one thing, but it's such a touristy area that, you know, people had planned to go to San Francisco a year in advance, and nothing's going to stop them from going to San Francisco. And nothing's going to stop them from walking up and down, you know, whether it's California Street, Mission Street, you know, Embarcadero, whatever, they are still going to go. So as long as what's happening and they're starting to get a handle on, okay, you're going to be prosecuted if you do these things, they're not going to keep going back to the well when the well is locked.
Right.
So I think it may take a couple more years, but it's, you know, people come there because they want to go to San Francisco. They want to go to Pier 39. They want to, you know, see the seagulls drop stuff on their food. You know?
So we're not gonna go because it's,
Right, because we're
make a weekend of it now, like,
local, right? But so many people, thousands and thousands of people come to San Francisco because they want to go there. It's a destination spot. So it's going to rebound, and I believe that all of our commerce, particularly in those areas that are theft driven, because people they want to be able to steal the jewelry, they want to steal shoes, and people are putting even the store we just went to earlier today, all of their medicine is behind a glass door, you know, behind glass cases, which, you know, and it's 45,000 square foot building, and you all need to go. It's incredible.
Is there tequila behind the glass door?
Yeah.
Is it one?
It's like right in the front, the cashier.
Yeah, but
They have a whole wall though.
Yeah.
Huge wall.
But yeah, I think it will rebound. I know it will. It's just gonna take time, just like anything. I mean, you know, California, it's ebbs and flows. And we're gonna get past this. I appreciate, I'm sure everybody in this room and everybody who's seeing the difference appreciates the fact that the impact that law enforcement is having and doing and making on these criminals, that they'll realize, oh, I'll go to jail if I steal a Snicker. I don't know why I keep thinking of Snickers. Don't want a Snicker. But yeah, so appreciate the presentation.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm glad I was able to make it here today, so that's good. Not just to see you, Jeff, but
Well,
you.
it's always kind of that brightens my day. So.
Any other questions? You got Donna or Jennifer, do you have any questions online? No? All right, well, thank you everyone for coming.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Thank you. That's good. You good.
Appreciate it.
You guys didn't eat, you gonna get something to go?
We grab a little.